Good afternoon, everyone. So today we are again discussing the test series which we were discussing yesterday. We have discussed almost 8 questions in this test series, and today we shall be discussing rest of the remaining question. So the next question in front of you in the screen is regarding parliamentary privileges. And let's read out the question first, and then we will try to figure out how we are going to address this question. So let's try to find out what the question is. Question says, explain the rationale, means reason, behind individual and collective privileges enjoyed by the member of parliament. Okay? So as I told you, the first thing which should come into your mind is try to decode what is being asked in the question in a simple way. So in the question, the idea is rationale means reason. And the question says, what is the reason for privileges which are being given to the members of parliament at individual basis and at collective basis? This is the only thing which is being asked. What is the reason for these privileges? Tell me what could be the reason for these bases. One simple reason. Okay, to maintain dignity, or you can say integrity. And another very important theme attached to this is effective functioning. If some kind of privileges is being given to the MPs, this will enable them to function more effectively. Okay? So the idea which is there is effective functioning as well as integrity. And now what the point would be, we would be trying to understand this entire thing, but some way or the other we would be writing these points. So see how they have started. आप कैसे शुरू कर सकते हो? Just start straight with the introduction. What do you mean by parliamentary privilege? So parliamentary privilege are legal immunities. By law, these are certain privileges, immunities, exceptions, powers, which are being given to the members of the legislative body, including that of Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. So plain simple tarike se you can start your answer. These privileges are effective. Now in the introduction only, I always suggest student, the main gist has to be discussed right in the introduction. Don't wait for the conclusion even. Conclusion may additional points you can write. But in introduction, you can start with the basic theme. Basic theme is effective functioning. So you would say these privileges are crucial for the effective functioning of parliamentarians. Like this, we have started. Now we will say next, they have been asking about privileges. So hum bolenge, parliamentary privileges are of 2 kinds. These are under Article 105. This is meant for basically MPs. And then Article 194, which is basically meant for the state. So for prelims now, you have 2 more ideas, Article 104 and Article 194. And on these questions on prelims are being asked. Straight away, you can come up to the rationale, and it's always good if you try to create a connectivity between the 2 statements. So we can even say parliamentary privileges, which are of 2 kinds, that is provided to MPs and provided to state legislators, have serious rationale behind its operationability. These could be as follows. ऐसे करके आप एक rhythm में answer को create करें. So the first is ensuring proper functioning. Of course, as you said also, effective functioning is very important, and we require Parliament to discharge its function properly without any outside influence. Free mind से हम चाह रहे हैं MPs अपना काम करें. So definitely you would be providing them certain privileges. Next is freedom of speech. Definitely parliamentary privileges grant lawmakers the freedom to express their opinions without the fear of legal repercussions. So in parliamentary privileges, abhi aage hum dekhenge bhi individual and collective. You do have privilege that you would be immune from any kind of court proceedings. If the sitting session is happening, you would not be going for court sessions. This means you don't have to think about legal repercussions, ठीक है ना? And you are free and honest debate में आप honest opinion रखोगे. Next is protection of integrity. No doubt, integrity is very important. Privileges actually prevent parliamentarians from external interference, such as civil arrest while they perform their duties. As I said, na to unka conduct could be discussed in the court, nor they can be arrested for civil cases. तो आप आराम से अपना काम कर सकते हो. This enables them to shield from any kind of hindrances. Next is immunity from legal action. So the same point, ensuring proper functioning, freedom of speech, protection of integrity, and reason is because you are free from legal action. Parliamentary privileges shield members from legal action for the statement which are being made during parliamentary proceedings. This protection ensures candid discussion and prevent legal harassment based on legislative speech. I believe we did had, इसमें लिखा कैसे नहीं है? That day we were finding entire parliamentary privileges which are एक map जैसा कुछ बना था ना? I was thinking, चलो कोई नहीं, I will tell you what are the key parliamentary privileges which are being mentioned. So a very important point is that they are actually free from any such kind of arrest also. Right? Immunity from legal transparency. By allowing the publication of parliamentary proceeding, privileges ensures public remains informed about details and as well as discussions. See, there are few, abhi main aapko list bata dungi, of individual and collective privileges, wherein you would see there is a right to publish. Means parliamentary proceedings ko aap publish kar sakte ho. And you also have the right to abstain from publication. That is, you can even stop the publication from happening. So all these are allowed, are part of parliamentary privileges. If you are allowing publication of parliamentary proceeding, this means aap puri proceeding ko transparent rakh rahe ho, because now you are putting this for the public view, right? Contempt. The rules of each house provide for a committee of privileges. अब एक committee of privilege बनती है, इसको आप pre के लिए देखेंगे. What is committee of privilege? The committee has the power to summon the members or the strangers. Refusal to appear or to answer, or if you are giving false answer, this itself is considered to be a contempt of court, right? So this maintains the dignity of the house. So these are few of the rationales because of which we require parliamentary privileges. So what are the rationales? अगर फिर से देखो तो all points are somehow or the other depending or linked with functioning. Proper functioning, functioning कैसी होनी है? Freedom of speech होनी है, immunity from legal action, protection from integrity, transparency as well as contempt. Last का idea कैसे इन्होंने conclude किया? Although the parliamentary privileges have a noble creation, noble idea, rationale, एक challenge है parliamentary procedures, privileges में, they are not codified. ठीक है? When they are not codified, they are subject to diverse interpretation. तो as I said कि हमेशा अपने answer को conclude करते समय always and always try to figure out a challenge if you are able to find out and a way forward. So see, they have very properly, in a very proper way, they have written the challenge. Challenge is that parliamentary privileges are not codified, and way forward is it needs to be codified as soon as possible, right? So this is the way in which we can draw upon our question on parliamentary privileges. अब आप लोग कहीं अपने analysis के लिए लिखें. Parliamentary privileges are of two kinds. One are individual privileges and another are collective privileges. So individual privileges के अंदर we will write freedom from arrest. Individual privilege में है freedom from arrest. Freedom from arrest. Another individual privilege would be freedom of speech. Freedom of speech, and all these are points of rationale also. यही points आप लिखोगे rationale के लिए भी. And next is exemption from attendance. Exemption from attendance. In courts as witnesses. In courts as witnesses. Absence from attendance in courts as witnesses. So these are few of the individual privileges which are given, and this is the reason why privileges, parliamentary privileges are important. और यही points हमने लिखे भी हैं. Freedom from arrest, freedom of speech, exemption from some kind of attendance for as witness. Collective privileges के idea में लिखेंगे. Right to publish and right to abstain publication. Right to publish and right to abstain publication. Next we will write right to exclude. Right to exclude. Right to exclude who? Right to exclude strangers. So person who are not member of parliament, collectively उनके पास privilege है to exclude this person out from the premise, so that ये interference में नहीं रहे. They are completely out from external interference, right? Next is right to regulate internal matters. Right to regulate internal matters. And last collective privilege would be right to punish members and outsiders. Right to punish members and outsiders. Right? अभी जितने मैंने points बताए हैं, all these points could be written as the reason or the rationale behind making parliamentary privileges. ठीक है? यही सारे points you can write that this is the reason why we are having parliamentary privileges system. Okay, next is the very important topic, that is kinds of writs. We already have a small idea regarding writs, and see this kind of question can come up. Question is, how do various kinds of writs safeguards the fundamental rights of Indian citizen? बहुत simple question है. How do various kinds of writs safeguards the fundamental rights of citizen? So very clearly the question says we would be starting. Introduction कैसे होगा? We will start straight with the kinds of writs under Article 32 and Article 226. We will write about writs. And then we will, along with explanation, we will write all 5 types of writs. And with every 5 types of writs, we will try to explain those writs, and then we will try to find out how they are safeguarding our FRs. Likewise, we will do. Okay? And in the end, of course, we would be concluding it with a proper conclusion. So let's see how we would start. As I said, हम rights को directly rights से शुरू करेंगे और rights को समझाएंगे. Just like in the class also, we introduce something not directly, rather providing you an introduction. तो ऐसे ही आंसर में भी आप directly नहीं आओगे. आप पहले बताओगे what do you mean by rights. तो क्या लिखा है? Rights क्या है? There are written orders. Rights are written orders which are given to the court by court. These courts could be anything. This could be High Court also. This could be Supreme Court also. अगर Supreme Court है तो Article 32 है, and if High Court is there, there is Article 226. Right? Another very important point है, you can always go to Supreme Court for invoking of your fundamental rights by issuing writs only and only when your fundamental rights are abridged. However, you can approach to High Court under Article 226 both when your fundamental rights are abridged or also if your legal rights are abridged. This means the writ jurisdiction of High Court is much more wider than that of Supreme Court. ठीक है? तो ये हमने एक idea लिया. So we would be starting saying it's a written order issued by the court to a person to abstain from doing something or in order to ask him to do something. दोनों ही चीजें हैं. So there are 5 types of writs. Few of the writs abstain a person from doing something which is unlawful, and few of the writs ask the person to do something which is lawful, right? So either of the case you can go and have your writs. According to Article 32 and 226, Supreme Court and High Court can issue writs respectively that provides for constitutional remedies against violation of fundamental rights. Do mention about articles. These are few of the basic articles जो आपको बिल्कुल याद रहेंगे. So we would be mentioning these articles. ठीक है, जहां तक हो पाए जरूर mention करो articles को. But just mentioning article is not going to make a good answer. Good answer is an amalgamation of analysis also and few of the factual things also. ठीक है. So we would be starting like this and we would be ending our introduction saying that there are actually 5 kinds of writs which are meant to safeguard fundamental rights. Question ये पूछ रहा है कि how they are safeguarding. Question वापस से पढ़ो. How they can safeguard. So along with all the writs we would be analyzing. यहीं पर analyze करते चले जाएंगे. How they can analyze, they can safeguard, and last में we can just write all the points in short. So let's try to understand what is the first writ. First is habeas corpus. We already know what is habeas corpus. देखो, habeas corpus is one writ which is basically being provided to a person who is being detained. अब Indian Constitution में detained, if a person is detained, then he gets protection under 2 articles. One is Article 20 and another is Article 22, which talks about preventive detention. ठीक है? Arrest and preventive detention. So protection against arrest and preventive detention under Article 22. And Article 20 also has several kinds of ideas wherein you can get protection if you are involved in some kind of offense. So basically detention के लिए there are 2 articles, 20 and 22. 20 we already know there are 3 clauses to 20. है ना? Article 20 कहता है कि if you have committed certain offense. First clause of Article 20 says that you would be implicated in the court only and only for the crime or an act which is considered a crime at that time. If something is not being considered a crime and somewhere later on or in future that becomes a crime, you won't be implicated for that. This means retrospective way में this kind of criminal law would not enact. ठीक है? So this is prevention against retrospective legislation. Second says double jeopardy. Second clause. Double jeopardy means you cannot be punished for the same crime twice. And then next important is protection against providing self-incriminating evidences. That is those evidences which are creating evidence against you. You would not be forced to provide those evidences. Exam के लिए आप लोग pre के लिए क्या करोगे? Find out those exceptions which are there mentioned in our constitution as far as self-incriminatory evidences are concerned. In which cases it won't be a violation of this article. जैसे कि you providing your voice sample, you can provide your voice sample. वो self-incriminatory evidence नहीं होगा. Then you providing your financial information, you providing blood samples, DNA samples, you going for exhibition of your body, thumb impression वगैरह आपसे ले रहे हैं. All these things would not be counted under self-incriminatory evidences. ऐसे करके एक pre में question आता है. Again pre के लिए question आता है narco analysis and brain mapping. Does narco analysis and brain mapping becomes a part of admissible evidence or not? So court has clearly said, with the consent of the accused, you can make that person undergo narco analysis and brain mapping. But all kind of things, investigative things which you get after this cannot be produced in front of the court. ठीक है? तो मेंस और प्री के मैं आपको अलग अलग क्वेश्चन बता रही हूँ. प्री के लिए क्वेश्चन आएगा व्हाट ऑल थिंग्स आर एग्जेम्प्टेड फ्रॉम सेल्फ इंक्रिमिनेटिंग एविडेंस. मेंस के लिए आता है डज नार्को एनालिसिस और ब्रेन मैपिंग कंसिडर टू बी एन एविडेंस. उसमें आप कोर्ट केस का डिक्लेरेशन लिखेंगे. ठीक है? एनीवेज, so detention के लिए we have Article 20 and we have 22. 22 talks mostly about preventive detention, right? जिसमें कोर्ट ये कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन कहता है कि for preventive purposes. This means in future अगर लग रहा है that you are going to create issue, then you can of course, state of course can detain you. इसी को preventive detention कहते हैं, and can keep you within 3 months. For 3 months you can be kept. But if really police wants to extend the custody to beyond 3 month को extend तभी होगा when an advisory board gives a green flag for that, right? So at the maximum आप उनको 3 month तक रख सकते हो. ये भी question pre में कई बार आता है. My point is I am telling you the entire idea regarding detention. So अगर आप detain होते हो, so you are getting protection under Article 20, you are getting protection under Article 22, and you can even go for a writ which is called habeas corpus. So you have three safeguards in form of unlawful detention or any kind of detention. Unlawful or any kind, ठीक है? और बेसिकली नॉर्मली अगर डिटेंशन है तो आपको 3 सेफगार्ड्स मिलते हैं. इसके ऊपर एक अलग से मेंस का क्वेश्चन बन सकता है दैट कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन हैज प्रोवाइडेड सेवरल सेफगार्ड्स अगेंस्ट डिटेंशन, क्रिटिकली एनालाइज दोस सेफगार्ड्स, सो देयर आर 3 सेफगार्ड्स अवेलेबल, राइट? तो अब हेबस कॉर्पस हमें पता है क्या मतलब है, हैव द बॉडी. दिस मीन्स इफ सपोज अ पर्सन इज बीन डिटेन्ड, और टेक्निकली देखो अगर आपको डिटेन किया है किसी बॉडी ने, पुलिस ने, तो 48 आवर्स के अंदर अंदर दिस पर्सन हैज टू बी प्रोड्यूस्ड टुवर्ड्स द नियरेस्ट डिस्ट्रिक्ट मजिस्ट्रेट. बट सपोज आपको 48 आवर्स के विद इन डिस्ट्रिक्ट मजिस्ट्रेट के सामने नहीं प्रेजेंट किया, देन ऑफ कोर्स यू कैन गो एंड इन्वोक हेबस कॉर्पस रिट अगेंस्ट द कंसर्न अथॉरिटी. इसी को कहते हैं हेबस कॉर्पस. Court will actually give a written order to that authority to provide suitable evidence why you have detained this person, and then this person could even be set free. So definitely it is considered to be a bulwark of individual liberty, कहते हैं इसको, right? See, it orders demanding the presentation of detained person. अभी detained person को आपने detain किया है लेकिन आपने district magistrate के सामने पेश नहीं किया. So this particular order will demand the presentation of the detained person before the court and to assess the legality of the detention. What was the legality? And is safeguarding his own individual liberty. ठीक है? This is the first writ. Second is mandamus. Mandamus means me command. Mandamus का मतलब simple है. We command means suppose there is a public authority or a court, ठीक है? A court or a public authority, if someone is not doing their legal duty, then you can issue a mandamus. Mandamus is a judicial review remedy which is in form of an order from a superior court to any governmental agency, any public authority to perform certain duty which it has refrained to do. तो मैंडेमस मतलब वी कमांड, हम आपको कमांड कर रहे हैं दैट यू हैव टू परफॉर्म सर्टेन लीगल ड्यूटी. ये जनरली पब्लिक ऑफिसेस के लिए होता है. मैंडेमस आप प्राइवेट इंडिविजुअल को नहीं कह सकते. यू कांट कमांड अ प्राइवेट ऑर्गेनाइजेशन और इंडिविजुअल टू डू समथिंग. मैंडेमस इज ऑल्सो नॉट बीन इशूड अगेंस्ट प्रेसिडेंट, against Chief Justice of India, against judges of Supreme Court, High Court, against governor. आप उनको भी direct नहीं कर सकते हो to do something. Mandamus cannot be issued in case of voluntary activities. Suppose आपने कहा कि मैं voluntary activity करूंगा, तो court आपको command नहीं कर सकता that you have to do that. This is only and only applicable for a public authority, right? Next is prohibition. Now prohibition and certiorari both could be linked together. ये दोनों ही ऑर्डर्स होते हैं हायर कोर्ट टू द लोअर कोर्ट. प्रोहिबिशन एक्चुअली मीन्स प्रोहिबिट और फॉरबिड. सो इट इज एक्चुअली forbidding or prohibiting a lower court from doing something which is out of its jurisdiction. So suppose a lower court is exceeding its jurisdiction, the higher court will issue a prohibition writ against the lower court, thereby containing that particular court from doing something which is out of its jurisdiction. So this is called prohibition. Certiorari क्या है? Certiorari may be higher court makes a demand to the lower court, but in this case it can even annul an order of the court if such order has been made which involves jurisdictional access. So the difference between prohibition and certiorari is कि prohibition को you can consider as a preventive measure and certiorari को आप preventive भी मानोगे और curative भी मानोगे. Curative means कि अगर किसी केस ने कोई कोर्ट केस ऑर्डर दे ही दिया, thereby when it is exceeding its jurisdiction, certiorari will quash that order also. So not only it will prohibit, it will also give a cure for that, right? So this is prohibition and certiorari. And last is quo warranto. Quo warranto मतलब होता है by what authority. Quo warranto is being issued by the court to inquire into the legality of a claim of a person to a public office. ये भी public office में होता है, right? इसमें क्या है, इफ यू आर होल्डिंग अ पब्लिक ऑफिस, सपोज आपने इलीगल मीन्स से पब्लिक ऑफिस होल्ड किया या यू हैव यूसर्व्ड अ पब्लिक ऑफिस, इन दैट वे अ रिट ऑफ क्यो वारंटो विल आस्क दैट पर्टिकुलर पर्सन टू शो वैलिड प्रूफ on the basis of which it is holding its claim on this public office, right? So all in all these 5 writs, essence of the 5 writs is to safeguard individual liberty. Because if you are suppose doing something for which you were not authorized, तो भी you are working in an arbitrary way, thereby you are definitely jeopardizing individual liberty. These two also says अगर कोर्ट अपने ऑर्डर को एक्सीड, अपना जुरिस्डिक्शन को एक्सीड कर रहा है, ऑफ कोर्स देन इट इज नॉट एडिंग टू इंडिविजुअल लिबर्टी और फ्रीडम. मैंडेमस में द पर्सन इज नॉट डूइंग समथिंग, this might also affect individuals' liberty and freedom. So court is asking this person to do, and habeas corpus, so we already know it is he is being detained and he has not been produced to the judicial custody. So all in all, it was be considered that these writs, the basis is, or the significance is, that these writs actually helps in enforcement of FRs. सबसे important significance इनका यही है. एक बार ये लिख लोगे, उसके बाद rest of the ideas will come up. Rest of the ideas like it will have a constraint on the arbitrariness of legislator and executive. फिर ऐसे करके आप कोई भी और points बना सकते हो. Question कह रहा है how the writs is able to ensure the fundamental rights to the citizen. So how it is able to ensure? Question फिर से पढ़ते हैं चलो. Every time try to read the question so that हम बिल्कुल tandem में हैं with the question, right? How do various kind of writs safeguard FRs? तो अभी तक हमने सारी writs discuss करी. Now we will discuss how these safeguards the FR. तो हम लिखेंगे, इस तरह से लिख सकते हो. The above mentioned writs plays a very important role in safeguarding fundamental rights of the citizen in the following way. Point number 1, they enforce fundamental right. So through list, writs, fundamental rights are realized in practice, and therefore they can be better enforced. Second, interpretation and expanding of rights. See, now not only rights are safeguarded. In many of the court cases, जब writ होती है, तो court interpret the rights in a more better way. It can even lead to the expansion of the scope of fundamental right, right? इसमें एक example लिखा है. For example, in Maneka Gandhi case versus Union of India, the scope of right to life, that is Article 21, was being expanded. See, in polity discussions, all these court cases will very frequently come up. And these also provide a very important ground in pre also. तो Maneka Gandhi case क्या है? Maneka Gandhi case basically India में there is this idea of procedure established by law. है कि नहीं? Article 21 क्या कहता है? State can deprive a citizen from his life and liberty except by the procedure established by law. Right? So procedure established by law means that suppose Parliament has followed a procedure. So when it has followed the procedure, it is being understood that what all will happen later on will be absolutely just because the Parliament has followed the procedure. This is called procedure established by law. But in many of the cases, it was realized that even when you are following a procedure, the end result is not that substantive. This is the reason there is another very important thing which comes up, which is called due process of law. Procedure established by law is somewhere more prominent in UK. So due process of law is more prominent in US. अब due process of law क्या कहता है? Due process of law says that the intention of the law is also very important. Not only court should look and inquire into the procedure, court should also inquire into the intent of the law which is being produced or the motive of the law. ठीक है? So Maneka Gandhi case में in India from that onwards, procedure established by law was being seen along with due process of law. However, Constitution में अभी भी procedure established by law ही लिखा है. But it is being understood that procedure established by law is being seen along with due process of law. Right? So this kind of interpretation was also because of a writ only. ठीक है? So this is the reason writ plays a very important role in not only enforcing FRs but also expanding its scope. तो आर्टिकल 21 का स्कोप और बढ़ गया. Checks against state excesses, मैंने वही बोला ना, writ jurisdiction जहां fundamental right को enforce कर रहा है. On the other hand, it is putting a restraint on the legislative excesses or the executive misuse, right? So there is a very famous case, A.K. Kripak versus Union of India, in which selection process was quashed on the ground of bias. So writ plays a very powerful role to check the excesses which could be committed by the state. So वहां पर bias के basis में selection process हो रही थी, तो कोर्ट के ऊपर ये रिट हुई, एंड आफ्टर दिस कोर्ट एक्चुअली दिस रिट कोर्ट एक्चुअली क्वैश्ड द डिसीजन ऑल टुगेदर. सो दिस ऑल्सो मीन्स हाउ वी कैन चेक द स्टेट एक्सेसेस. नेक्स्ट क्या लिखा है? प्रोटेक्शन ऑफ लीगल राइट्स. सी आर्टिकल 32 मैंने शुरू में ही बताया, इट्स मोस्टली फॉर एनफोर्सिंग एंड सेफगार्डिंग FRs, बट आर्टिकल 226 is applicable for both FRs as well as legal right. So basically, writ jurisdiction is not only applicable for FRs, it is also applicable for protection of legal rights. यही लिखा है. Article 32 limits Supreme Court to enforce fundamental right, but Article 226 grant High Court broader powers, extending beyond fundamental rights. Legal rights are therefore also protected under writ jurisdiction. तो अब हम लोग याद रखेंगे कि रिट जुरिस्डिक्शन में लीगल आर ऑल्सो प्रोटेक्टेड राइट्स, फंडामेंटल राइट्स आर ऑल्सो प्रोटेक्टेड, लेजिस्लेटिव एक्सेसिस को कम करता है, इट ऑल्सो इंटरप्रेट एंड एक्सपैंड्स द राइट्स. सो दीज आर गोइंग टू बी द वे इन विच रिट जुरिस्डिक्शन कैन एनफोर्स फंडामेंटल राइट्स ऑफ द सिटीजन. लास्ट में हाउ दे हैव कंक्लूडेड. सी कोई भी एक इंपॉर्टेंट पॉइंट को आप शुरू में लिखो और एक लास्ट में लिखो. सो व्हाट पॉइंट इन द बिगिनिंग वी हैव रिटन for the writ jurisdiction? In the beginning, we have written writ jurisdiction normally as an order in order to safeguard FRs, है ना? तो लास्ट में हम ऐसे कुछ कर सकते हैं कि not only to safeguard FR, एक तो होता है safeguarding FR, एक होता है to create a limitation. तो अगर एक पॉइंट आपने पहले लिख लिया तो एक पॉइंट लास्ट में लिख लो. तो देखो इन्होंने भी लास्ट में वही पॉइंट लिखा है. Writs as constitutional remedies operates as check. They create a check and keep the administration of government within the bounds of the law. Last May, it is because of this importance that Dr. Ambedkar considers right to constitutional remedies as heart and soul of constitution. अगर आर्टिकल 32 नहीं होता तो FR safeguard नहीं हो पाते. So it is heart and soul of our constitution. So एक आइडिया से हम शुरू करेंगे, and with one idea we would end up, right? So this is the way in which we can write this question. कोई doubt है तो you can keep asking as well. Next important question is actually regarding to a very nice concept. देखो यहाँ पर ना, because it is assumed कि for 2025 ये test series launch है ना? So आप सारे questions को देखोगे, बहुत basic questions हैं. And all these questions do not more or less involve technicalities of articles within polity, because it is meant for you people only. This is the reason I request of all online students also to definitely go and solve these questions. क्योंकि ये questions कोई आपके high funda test नहीं कर रहे हैं. They are simple things which they are asking. And like this only UPSC ask. देखो ये question भी बहुत simple है, concept based question है. Sorry. Principle of federal supremacy is indispensable for a successful functioning of a federal system. Discuss in the context of India. The main idea is federal supremacy. Second is indispensable. Indispensable means compulsory, which cannot be used in alternative. It is really compulsory for successful functioning of a federal system. ठीक है? Discuss in context of India. तो question basically आप क्या नोट करोगे? आप लिखोगे federal supremacy. This is important for a federal system of India. Of India. यहां पे लिख रहे हैं हम importance. Now, second thing, आप इसी तरह के mind map बनाओ. हर क्वेश्चन को जितना आप जैसा फ्लो चार्ट अपने लिए फॉर योर सेक, यू आर नॉट सपोज टू राइट इट इन फॉर्मल एग्जाम, बट समवेयर इन बैक ऑफ द शीट और इन योर लेफ्ट हैंड कॉर्नर जहां आप रफ लिखोगे, वहां ट्राई टू क्रिएट दिस माइंड मैप कि लिटरली लिख दो, जो क्वेश्चन पूछा है उसको लिटरली लिख दो. यू वुड बी एबल टू फॉर्मुलेट कि मुझे आंसर कैसे बनाना है. सो फेडरल सुप्रीमेसी, इट इज इंपॉर्टेंट फॉर फेडरल सिस्टम इन इंडिया. फेडरल, अब दिमाग में आना चाहिए व्हाट डू यू मीन बाय फेडरल सुप्रीमेसी. तो फेडरल सुप्रीमेसी क्या है? द फेडरल गवर्नमेंट इज सुप्रीम. व्हाट इज नोन एज फेडरल गवर्नमेंट? फेडरल गवर्नमेंट क्या होती है? फेडरल गवर्नमेंट, सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट को हम जनरली फेडरल गवर्नमेंट कहते हैं. फेडरल सुप्रीमेसी मीन्स when center is supreme vis-a-vis state in various sphere. इसको कहते हैं फेडरल सुप्रीमेसी. ठीक है? So this means जब हमें आइडिया है कि फेडरल सुप्रीमेसी मीन्स सेंटर हैज ग्रेटर पावर एज द स्टेट, तो इसका मतलब यही है कि हमको क्या पता करना है? Why center has greater power over the state and why actually we have adopted this system. बस आंसर यही है. Question is why federal supremacy is important for India. Federal supremacy means center is more important than state or more powerful than state. तो ultimately हमको question में क्या लिखना है कि why center has been made more powerful in terms of functions vis-a-vis state in a federal system like India. यानी कि all those points will suggest that how India is a federal state with a unitary bias, वो points you can write in this answer. ठीक है? तो ये सब हमें पता चला जब हमने एक माइंड मैप बनाया. So first, how we shall start this question? सिंपल अगर क्वेश्चन है तो सिंपल से शुरू करो. इस क्वेश्चन का कोई हमें इतना ग्रेट कॉन्टेक्स्ट नहीं मिलेगा, तो हम इसको सिंपल थीम से शुरू करेंगे. वी विल स्टार्ट डिस्कसिंग इंट्रोडक्शन में व्हाट डू यू मीन बाय व्हाट से शुरू करो. What do you mean by federal supremacy? क्या लिखा है देखो. Principle of federal supremacy highlights hierarchy of law where precedence is given to the law enacted by the central government over those enacted by individual state. यानी center is more powerful than the state. इसी को federal supremacy कहते हैं. As per सरकारिया कमीशन, I told you सेंटर स्टेट से रिलेटेड कोई भी क्वेश्चन आएगा हम कहीं ना कहीं कमीशंस को जरूर मेंशन करेंगे. कल मैंने आपको कई सारे कमीशंस बताए. वन इज सरकारिया कमीशन सेंटर स्टेट रिलेशंस के लिए, अनदर इज पुंछी कमीशन, देन इज वेंकटचलैया कमीशन. यू कैन मेंशन दीज कमीशंस. सो सरकारिया कमीशन ने एक बार बोला था, रूल ऑफ फेडरल सुप्रीमेसी इज अ टेक्निक टू अवॉइड एब्सर्डिटी, resolve dispute and ensure harmony between union and state law. तो सरकारिया कमीशन का तो ये मानना था कि why center laws should prevail. Reason because India, आप अपने हिसाब से लिखो, India is a diverse country and with so much amount of pluralism at the center level for some important topics or issues, we do want a common stand which is going to create uniformity. फॉर इंपॉर्टेंट इश्यूज जैसे डिफेंस है, जैसे फॉरेन पॉलिसी है, कम्युनिकेशन है, रेलवेज हैं, ये ऐसे सेक्टर्स हैं विच वेर इन वी रिक्वायर यूनिफॉर्म लॉज ऑल अक्रॉस द कंट्री. मैंने क्लास में पढ़ाया था ना, यूनियन लॉज आर एप्लीकेबल ऑन फ्यू स्पेसिफिक इंपॉर्टेंट टॉपिक्स and state laws are available for all the state differently within their own jurisdictional area. तो important topics को हमने center को दे दिया ताकि वो important topics uniformly regulate हो पाए all across the country. This is the reason of which Sarkaria Commission said federal supremacy should be a nice idea, could be a nice idea. उन्होंने कहा this is to avoid absurdity, this is to avoid conflict. Important issues में अगर आप center और state को बराबर दे दोगे तो every time there would be an issue. So in order to resolve conflict, in order to ensure harmony, this kind of system is a nice idea. So with this, what do you mean by federal supremacy? You can start. Question को फिर से पढ़ो. कह रहा है federal supremacy is important for federal system. This means somehow the question tries to find out what is the reason we opted for it. इनवर्स क्वेश्चन भी आ सकता है, व्हाट इज द रीजन वी अडॉप्टेड फॉर अ फेडरल सुप्रीमेसी. पॉइंट नंबर 1 क्या लिखा है, यूनिफॉर्मिटी एंड कंसिस्टेंसी. सो एज आई सेड, पार्लियामेंट यूनिफॉर्मिटी चाहता है, बहुत बड़ा स्पेस है पार्लियामेंट का, इंडिया का. वी वांट यूनिफॉर्मिटी इन सर्टेन स्पेसिफिक लॉज. वी आल्सो वांट कंसिस्टेंसी, दैट एवरी स्टेट विल फॉलो द सेम थिंग. जैसे कि पीआरआई, अब पीआरआई लोकल गवर्नमेंट में है, कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल अमेंडमेंट हुआ एट द सेंटर and a uniform 3-tier system was being created. और कहा हर एक state with certain exceptions of course will implement this 3-tier system. तो एक तरह से uniformity आ गई और एक तरह से consistency हो गई. This is one reason why federal supremacy is considered a good idea. Next, what it is? Resolution of interstate conflict. See, of course, there would be issues between the state. There would be issues between center and the state. If you don't consider one authority to be slightly above, तो आप कभी dispute नहीं resolve कर पाओगे. This is the reason we have provided greater powers at the federal level, that is at the central level. And in India, under Article 263, ये pre के लिए बहुत important है. Interstate councils are established to inquire the subject of common interest. तो interstate council बन गई, wherein center and state will come together and discuss. Next is why this federal supremacy is important. This is important in filling the legislative vacuum. क्या लिखा है? The powers which are not explicitly assigned to any of the union or the state, these are being given to the central government. ये कौन सी वाली powers होती हैं 248 के अंदर? Which are given to the center? Residuary power, है ना? एक होती है union power, union list. Union list is being given to the center. Then is the state list, which is being given to the state. Then there are concurrent list, on which both center and state can make laws. And if there is an issue, center law shall prevail. And then there are certain topics which are outside from all these lists, either union, state, or concurrent. These topics are called federal subjects. And federal subjects की power of legislation is being given to the center. US में यही power is given to the state. This is the reason US में federal supremacy वाला idea नहीं है. It is more important in India. ठीक है? So, for all those subjects जो कहीं पर भी नहीं थे mention, either in center and state, उनके ऊपर तो legislative vacuum हो जाएगा. So, federal supremacy actually prevents legislative vacuum and ensures that all aspects of government are created. नेक्स्ट इज, देखो ये सारे वही रीजंस हैं जो हम लोगों ने डिस्कस किए थे कि व्हाई देयर इज ग्रेटर पावर बीइंग गिवन टू द सेंटर. इमरजेंसी सिचुएशन, इफ देयर इज इमरजेंसी सिचुएशन, then a very strong center would be able to control the situations. This is the reason. Next is efficient governance. Definitely, देखो सेंटर और स्टेट के लेवल में कई बार होता है कि डुप्लीकेशन हो जाते हैं वर्क के. फॉर इंस्टेंस, आप भी एजुकेशन की पॉलिसी में समथिंग यू आर ऑल्सो डूइंग एंड स्टेट इज ऑल्सो डूइंग. If there is not such idea कि at the central level there would be a national level policy making, तो duplication of efforts होंगे और duplication of expenditure भी होगा. Right? So in order to avoid this kind of duplication, also you can go for federal supremacy. क्या लिखा है देखो, central government can implement policies that address national challenges. And they also avoid duplication of effort. For instance, GST introduction in India exemplifies federal supremacy, replacing state and central taxes with a unified system within a single market. तो जीएसटी एक ऐसा, एक इंटरव्यू में कई बार क्वेश्चन आता है कि इकोनॉमिक लेवल में व्हाट हैज बीन वन ऑफ द मोस्ट फंडामेंटल रीसेंट रिफॉर्म टू हैपन which has a very very important effect on the economic structure of India, that is introduction of GST. क्योंकि अभी तक हर स्टेट अपने अपने स्पेसिफिक टैक्सेस दे रहा था. GST is a central tax which would be uniformly applicable for all the states. So this is one way in which you are exemplifying or manifesting federal supremacy. लेकिन within this GST only, और यहीं पर आगे हम challenges भी लिखेंगे. देखो ये federal supremacy में end हुआ, end हम हमेशा challenges से करेंगे. challenges क्या आ सकते हैं बताओ? फेडरल सुप्रीमेसी अगर है, यानी सेंटर की सुप्रीमेसी है, तो challenges क्या आ सकते हैं? सेंटर स्टेट के बीच में challenges आ सकते हैं. Challenges could be very simple. Somehow, if the state and center do not have the same political party, it could definitely lead to conflict. तो conflicting situation आ सकती है. State might feel that center is coming into their space, overarching हो गया है center. These are few of the challenges. यही जहां आपने GST लिखा है वहां आप example देके challenges लिखो. That if we take GST as an example, of course there was issues between center and state, and this is the reason GST Council was created. And this GST Council, because federal supremacy can lead to conflict between center and state, this is the reason we took ideas of cooperative federalism. We take forward ideas of cooperative federalism in order to resolve these differences. तो आप conclusion में कैसे लिखोगे? जैसे इन्होंने लिखा है, principle of federal supremacy protects the two-tier political system from confusion, from conflicting laws. It promotes integrated legislative policy, uniformity on basic issues, preserves the federal principle of unity in diversity. ये सब तो है, but you can say federal supremacy do have certain serious challenges in terms of conflict between center and state. At this regard, idea of cooperative federalism could be a nice way forward, wherein India has adopted things or ideas like Niti Aayog, GST Council, Interstate Council, etc. ठीक है? So cooperative federalism का idea आ गया क्योंकि conflict हो सकते हैं. So conflict हो सकते हैं. So we are moving forward with this idea of cooperative federalism. And of course जहां हमने GST लगाया तो issues आ रहे थे तो हम चले गए GST Council में, wherein we said कि ठीक है अगर आप लोगों को issue है regarding the tax system, then of course we will take representatives from state also and center also. And together we would be coming forward with the tax distribution. ठीक है? तो इस तरह के questions को last में हमेशा IR का पढ़े हो या polity पढ़े हो, in the end if you are dealing with the topic, do write in one line just certain challenges. हर issue को लेके challenges होते ही हैं, most of the cases. So go with a challenge and end up with some kind of way forward. This could be the best way to come. ठीक है? So this is the way we have discussed this question. Next question is about parliamentary committee.